Good morning. I just noticed on your program, a minister pointed this out to me some years ago. He said, where there's good preaching in a church, they take collection afterwards. Where they don't have such good preaching, they take it in advance. And I notice you must have a tradition of good preaching here with Tony because you've got the collection afterwards. Someone asked Muhammad, to whom do we owe the most gratitude? And he said, your mother. After your mother, who is the second person? Who do you next owe the most gratitude? And he said, to your mother. And how about after that, who do you owe the most gratitude to? Your mother. And by now the guy was getting a little exasperated, and he said, and after that, your father. And I'm not knocking fatherhood, but I want to talk about motherhood with you guys today. When my daughter was born back in the 70s, we did natural childbirth, which was considered at the time a very radical thing, and very unusual for the husband to be present for the birth of a child. And it was an extraordinary experience. My boss told me that he wouldn't have wanted to see it. Too messy, he said. Spoils all the magic, he said. Well, the magician takes a fist and covers it with a cloth, rips the cloth out, and flowers pop out. And even when you know how it works, it's still magic. Death is actually the same thing in reverse. You start with the flowers, cover with the cloth, remove the cloth, and there's nothing there but the fragrance of what was lost. But it's magic all the same, and just because you went to high school and studied biology does not change the magic of what you see. And it didn't change it for me. It lasted the rest of my life. When men go to war, they leave fields of corpses behind them. Only women, when they go to war for the human race, leave more life behind them when they're done than when they started. That's a miracle. That's goddess-like. I taught ancient history for 25, 6, 7 years. And we have all of these goddesses, the earth goddess, the mother goddess. It's interesting, in the Native American traditions down in the Andes, one of the goddesses' name is Aluna. And there's this explanation that with Aluna, that nothing could exist in fact in the flesh unless it had been first conceived in the mind of Aluna. If you've ever studied Plato, that's very similar to something that Plato was thinking about. And here we have this, that nothing could exist in the world that was not first conceived in the mind of God. And way back, the first village that we know of, the first town, anywhere on the globe, is in Turkey. And you find statues all over the place made in clay, not large, they're about yay big. And they all show the same thing. They show the goddess who will become Ishtar in 5,000 years. This is way back, 7,000 BC. The goddess is seated on a birthing stool, or a birthing chair, giving birth to the world. It is as powerful an iconic figure for those people as a crucifix would be for Christians. This is the act of creation. And an interesting little sidebar, too. The chair that she's sitting on, and I participated in the birth of my niece, and the midwife used a birthing chair. It was an ancient idea to use gravity to help. But this was not just a common stool. In these little clay statues, the arms of the chair have leopard heads at the ends. These are very ornate chairs that she's sitting in. And obviously they have an open space in the bottom so that the baby can fall out and be born. My theory here is that the power of this chair would eventually become the throne that kings would sit in. And it's such a powerful idea that you would even hear this in language, in English, that the word came straight from the throne. This is a powerful, powerful symbol, and I think it was appropriated from the goddess, literally the seat of power. But look what all of these goddesses did in the understanding of the human race here. They not only give birth to the world, but they nourish it with their body. They care about it like mothers do. And eventually male sky gods took over the heavens. And in the cuneiform, you can actually see Ishtar's status dropping. If you read the Gilgamesh epic, it's a very, among other things, because it's doing a lot of work there, but one of the things it's doing, it's sort of anti-Ishtar propaganda, arguing that the male sky god is wiser, calmer, less moody, less bitchy, and that we should prefer that. And what we're actually seeing going on here with the agricultural revolution is the understanding of what seeds do. Because up until that moment, I'm thinking metaphorically here, but metaphors are powerful things, especially when they're attached to religion. So this original idea is that everything comes from the mother. Because you could observe human behavior for thousands of years, as we did, and not make the connection. This is going to sound weird, but we believe that the connection had not been made between sexual activity and childbirth. Because if sexual activity is something that happens episodically throughout a lifetime, and childbirth occurs only several times in a life, how and why would you connect one thing to the other if you didn't already know? And we didn't know for an amazingly long time. And then we developed the understanding of seeds, and we got a new metaphor, the seed metaphor, that the earth is actually a dumb thing. It's the seeds that have got the magic. You put the seeds in the ground, and you get your crop, your seeds, your crop, your harvest, your land. And suddenly you have to defend it militarily. And all of this becomes masculine. There's a prayer in the Torah. It's a household prayer said in the morning, adapted straight into Arabic in Islam. Blessed art thou, O God, who hast made me a man. And the women at that point lower their eyes, who hast made me according to his will. As above, so below. And you will see laws in cuneiform writing. First, it's almost like a stage play. The curtain opens, and you see a stage, and men and women are doing business, conducting deals. Women are druggists, pharmacists. They're selling land. In other words, they're people. And then you get laws. Any business deal that a woman does without the written permission of her husband, she and the person she does the deal with shall be put to death. Shall be put to death. And then later you get laws that if a woman disrespects her husband in public, her teeth shall be bashed in with bricks. It's that specific. And I'm teaching this, and my 9th grade kids, they're 14, 15, are just looking at me. Who would hate women so intently to write laws like that? And we're seeing a massive revolution taking place before our eyes in this strange cuneiform writing. Women are being removed from the public scene. As above, so below. Now, my mom smoked all her life. It actually was responsible for taking her life in the end. But when I was a little boy, and it was tuck-in time, my parents alternated. My dad would make up pirate stories out of his head, and my mother would read stories, and we would talk. And she would smoke, because she was always smoking. And in the dark, she would whistle her, take her cigarette and move it around, and it would dance in the air in the dark like a firefly. And when I was a little boy, I still remember how fascinated I was by it. We still see our mothers as goddesses when we're little. We imagine that mom can heal small wounds with a kiss or a touch. And dying soldiers in battlefields all over the world, sailors thrown off their ships into lakes of burning oil, scream for their mothers. I don't care what culture it is, and I don't care what time it is. That's what we've got. We see women as caretakers and comforters, and then we turn around and devalue all those things. Coaches and drill sergeants want to shame a guy, they'll call him a woman. They'll call him a woman. Well, this is Mother's Day, and scientists have been studying the chemistry of pregnancy and childbirth. And what they found is virginal lab rats, lab rat virgins, have no interest in newborn rat pups. In fact, they'll eat them if they get the chance. But let her become pregnant, and her tiny brain undergoes this fantastic transformation. She'll walk across electrified grids to spend time with rat pups, even if they're not her own. In fact, she'll prefer them to cocaine. That's how powerful the wiring becomes. And the same maternal chemistry kicks in for pair bonding. All of the same ingredients, dopamine, oxytocin, that lovers are bathed in unawares. But in even stronger doses, mothers will love their children even if they don't like them. And here's where the cynic likes to get into the conversation. Are we programmed, like the rats, to do and to be all these things? Do dogs love us because they love us, or are they simply have got a deal? Good food, shelter, and all that. Are they in it for the warmth and regular meals? But for human beings, though, nature whispers, but it can't command. Don't tell anyone that the countless hours spent nursing us, wiping our bottoms month after month, walking us around when we're squalling with indigestion, driving us places, waiting, sometimes in panic, the tens of thousands of meals cooked and served, clothes washed, all the hours we were held and rocked to sleep was only chemistry. Because we all know women can decide not to do these things. And our moms did them anyway. When they don't, it leaves a wound no other love can heal. And our unborn, we're learning, return the favor, at least in part. Turns out fetal stem cells pass through the placenta and wander the bloodstreams of their mothers, looking for trouble. Any sign of maternal cardiac problems, for example, the cells flood into the area, construct new heart tissue, repairing the old. It happens in mice and in human mothers too. Another miracle. Here's where we differ from our mammalian cousins. Volition. We alone can choose to be parents. We're not sexual automatons. We can make sex voluntary, childbirth voluntary. We can't choose our baby specifically, but blessed is the child whose mother can say, I chose you, I carried you inside myself, I fed you from my body, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. I loved you before you were even born, and I will love you after I'm gone. That's what being a mother is. Blessed be. Namaste. Amen.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass., and visit us online at unityoncapecod.org. This video was made possible in part through a grant from Unity Worldwide Ministries and the Templeton Foundation.